Alright, so hello everyone, and welcome back to Factorio. Let's click resume and get right back into it. So, last time we left off, we were designing a space platform, and this space platform was designed to basically be like the transportation system for the end game of everything. So, we need a couple things. First of all, we need to get these fusion generators actually into Novice so that this can be constructed. And then we need to get all the rest of the sort of outside row set up so that we can have our defenses. And then we just need to connect that outside row that we build. We have to connect that into the production stuff down here, and then it should be ready to go. So step one is figure out which of you... Okay, so quantum support carries all of the fusion reactor stuff. It's got the fluoroketone, it's got the fusion generators, and it doesn't naturally go to Novice, but we can make it go there pretty easily by just clicking on an interrupt real quick. So you can do that. And you look like you might be filling up with unnecessary barrels. That could be something we need to address at some point. Are you set to, like, request barrels from space? No. Alright, so let's get some requests set up. So first of all, we want you to just have... Actually, no, the barrels thing, we'll work that out on Aquilo later, probably. So you just need to get fusion reactors and fusion generators. And I don't know how many of these we need, so let's just set overkill for it. And that's the only thing that this was missing, right? We have all of the rest of this stuff. Oh, we need the hot fluoroketone and the fuel. So, let's get those into these requests. So you can request like 20 barrels of hot fluoroketone probably, and then like 50 fusion power cells. And those are going to be coming from Novice as well. And so that should all get delivered. So you're going to stop at Fulgora before heading down to Novice. I guess that's just the fastest way to get there. So that is going to be happening now. And now we just need to design this outer layer. So we've got the front row, and I clicked a button which took us away from that. So we have the front row here, and I think the side rows don't necessarily need railgun turrets, hopefully. So we can... Do I actually have that blueprint in here? Space, platform, exterior... I don't have the correct one with rocket turrets in it. So let's grab one of you guys and copy this. So that's gonna be something like that. And we'll be going in around here somewhere. Okay, we've just lost some drones on Novice. That keeps happening. This artillery outpost is still going, looks like. So that's fine. Okay, so back up to here. What do we have here? We had the asteroid collectors doing their output onto this belt here. And then the gun and rocket turrets both go onto this belt here, but that's different from how we want this to go. So we need the gun turrets to have their own belt, while the railgun and rocket turrets have a separate belt. So we're gonna need to change that. So this whole thing, we're going to need to cut and paste it again. We need a little bit more space just to do the editing. So we get our belt down there, which is going to be carrying the asteroids, I guess. And how are we actually getting the asteroids in? Are we going to be just loading them in from this edge down here? No, our original plan was the asteroids would come in probably up this way. Yeah, so we need the asteroids to go in just like at a random point along the edge, basically. So this belt here will be the asteroid input. And it's not going to need to go out that far, but that'll be a start. So this area here, we need to move you. So the asteroid collector is here, like so. I don't know why that's got a weird blinking symbol on it, but it's probably fine. So you do that and output onto that belt. Then the rocket turrets grab from the far belt, and the gun turrets grab from the near belt. And you need to not target the huge asteroids, because that could cause problems. And you have those targeted. Okay, so this is... we need to get those settings in for all of these. So rocket turret goes to there so that they can target the Prometheum asteroids correctly. And that should theoretically be all set up, right? So then our ammo comes up that way, and our ammo comes up that way. Okay, it looks like the fusion stuff has already started to arrive. Also, there's one random electrical pole in there, which I didn't manage to successfully delete. So it says all of the fusion stuff is on its way, but it doesn't say anything about the power and the fluoroketone. So why is that? Did you not drop those off? Oh, I probably forgot to set those. So you can do that and that. And then those can get dropped off. No, stop it. Stay at novice. Okay. Can you just go to novice? Okay, so we have you paused thrust, so you should eventually just naturally fall back to novice and deliver those things, and then it should all work. Alright, so we're just going to leave you at that for now. It should happen eventually. So, this is all set up, right? That belt there doesn't need to exist. It's just random extraneous stuff. And I don't know why this is still giving that error type thing, but who knows. So let's connect all that so that it can start getting launched, and I keep hitting a button. Which I want to be not pressing. So this now all goes down this way, and can just carve straight through all that stuff. Okay, and now this is our asteroid input. So what we need is this belt to take from here and from another belt which goes up that way. So that should do the trick. And we've gotten a whole bunch of extra stuff launched. So that's all pretty cool. So as this successfully dropped off. Okay, so that successfully dropped off the fluoroketone and the fuel. So that's all good. Then you should be receiving those soon now. Yes. So that should get power up and running here with no problem. And now we just need to just theoretically just continue pasting these, and the coverage on this is slightly worse, but it's the edges, so it should be fine. That's just because I pasted it weirdly, or I copied it not quite correct, but it should be okay anyways. So that goes out to there. Oh, I see. And then this whole area in here is going to need to be filled in so that it doesn't become a donut. So we just do that, and we're going to have to do the same thing up here as well. So that all gets built up. Alright, so now we have all that. It should let this stuff get finished. And then we need to clear out all that space. And make sure that this is actually the edge. So there we go. Problem seems to be solved. I think I just saw the fluoroketone landing, and there goes the fusion power cells. So this should be up and running soon. So it's just gonna be a question of, will this take some time to get booted up, or will it just start working? And I think it basically just starts working, at least to some extent. So now we have all the power that we need, and that's all good. Okay, so we have our asteroid input as well for the front of everything. So that will get the crafting started. And you can stop being paused thrust. You can move off to your regularly scheduled trips again. And what else? Okay, so we need to get that belt rotated around to point upwards into all of that stuff. Very nice. And we need to... So here is the ammunition output, right? So we've got this belt is the firearm magazines. This belt is the explosives, and this belt over here is the railguns. So we need to get all of those output as well. So that can't quite reach all the way over that way. That's annoying. So I guess if we have you sort of sneak down like so, then we can take that one off for the rocket belt to go down. So you're going to be outputting to the far side there, so this can just connect up like that. And that will be all good. And then the firearm magazines go in like that. Okay, so now we're going to need to do a bit more, a lot more hole filling. So this, yeah, so I actually need to somehow make it so that it'll be easier actually if we run these all the way up here so that we don't have to fill that whole thing in. So let's take that chunk out because we have an overflow output thing up here which we might conceivably need to use, and we can't do that if this is all set up like this. So we bring this belt around like that, and this belt around like this. So then you go up, and we need to take out some of these solar panels, and then somewhere up in this area where these solar panels were is where we can connect this. So you go up to here, over, and then you... Wait, that's actually not going to work because that is going to be open space in a second. Okay. I need to dismantle... I need to dismantle that foundation there. There. Alright, we got it. Now that can go in, and now that's dumping the carbon off into space as it should be. So now you go across there, and then you're going to be attaching it somewhere like that. And the firearm belts go up this way, and they are likewise. We're going to hop across that gap, and then go over here somewhere. Okay, so we need you to do this. Wait, no. Control Z that. That's the wrong belt. Okay, so... Right, so that's the asteroid belt, and it needs to be doing that. What you actually need is... We need you to input somewhere where there's not asteroid belt interference, so we can send that underground for a bit in there. And now you are going to be doing that and getting a splitter, and that belt goes into there, which should work once we get all those facing the correct way. And then this one comes up, and we have to send you down a splitter. You go in there, and then this belt goes down like that. Okay, so now we just have to get this whole thing just flipped around to be facing that way. Very good. And then we need to get this one flipped around to be facing down this way as well. Like that. And hopefully that will work. And then we just need to finish this off by wrapping some of these guys out around this way. So let's start by copy pasting this whole section. Actually, let's just do a big copy paste there just to save some time. And then we get you in there, hopefully. Is that wide enough? Yeah, it's just about wide enough. Cool. So we have that, and we're going to need to get all of these belts facing correctly. So you go up that way, you go down this way, and you go down this way. And then we just connect up the corners. So that corner goes around there, that corner goes around there, and that corner goes around there. Alright, now we just have to copy paste this a little bit. And then that should be everything, if I can just get it. That should be just about far enough to cover everything, unless something crazy happens, which we're going to hope that nothing crazy happens. Okay, so now we have to make sure that these asteroids are doing their thing. So currently they are all getting sent down that way, which I don't think I want. I think we set that output priority off, because we do need asteroids to come down to the engines themselves. And what are you doing? You aren't getting any explosives. How are you... Is this connected up wrong? Yes. Okay. So the explosives are being bottlenecked. So this... What was I supposed to be doing here? What was all this even supposed to be? So this is supposed to be getting explosives and iron plates. This is supposed to be getting explosives, steel plates, and copper wire. So... Okay, the explosives were definitely meant to be on the near side of this belt. And... Okay, I know what we can do. So all we need to do is filter this iron plate around so that they output to the far side. So let's see here. This goes in like that, I think. So you output to that side. No, that doesn't do anything. That doesn't do anything at all. So these need to get onto the near side of the belt, which would be the left side from their perspective. So I guess the actual way to do that would be we take that out, we have you wrap around like that, and then you loop into there. And then we just need to clear out that belt and rebuild it. And we're going to need a whole bunch of belts to actually finish this section. Oh, and we also need that to connect across properly. That's important. So we're just about getting set up. We need a couple belts, and we need our railguns as well. Which are these? These are going to be barely enough to cover the entire front row. Let's just get an extra railgun in sort of on these edges here. Just to make sure that we have a little bit more coverage of that type. And those get copy pasted across. And it seems like the belt supply is working again. Yes, so now that's all happening. We just need to keep clearing out these belts and rebuilding them until all the iron which got on the wrong side of the belt is exhausted. And then all the iron from there then on can go on the right side of the belt. Okay, so we're almost there, and then we also seem to have some sort of problem where the explosives aren't doing things correctly. Okay, so first of all, this belt here. What is this supposed to be? Oh, wait, no, I figured it out. Okay. So this was never meant to connect into that belt in the first place. That was meant to just go down into there. And then the iron goes on the near side there, and the explosives get split to be on both that belt and this belt. So let's continue clearing these guys out. And just that last little bit. And that's all sorted. So now we have a problem where we don't have any coal. So where are you supposed to be getting your coal from? It's supposed to be on the other side of this belt. And we have... Oh, I see. I just never put in the inserters for these guys. That's an easy fix. Alright, so now we have coal coming down to the explosives, which go onto this belt and will feed into both of those guys. And that should produce our various types of ammunition. And meanwhile, down here, we've got plenty of fuel and oxidizer. So these guys are all just output full, although the calcite supply isn't great, so that hopefully will be something that builds up over time. And these guys are all just working on that bit by bit. Alright, so explosives and ammunition and stuff are starting to get constructed. And I just realized we're going to have all this railgun ammo just sort of piling up here. And that's going to be a bit wasted, but that's what you got to do. Because we don't actually have railguns in yet. So, which one of you guys carries railguns? Is it quantum support again? Theoretically, yes, but you don't have any. Okay, so, over to Aquilo. And you have 20 railguns in storage. So if we just get this to Aquilo, we can just pick up the railguns from there, and that'll be fine. And it'll be a good sort of base level test run for this. Okay. I see. So this is wrong because this never got filtered correctly. So you need to be filtered to only be outputting the asteroid chunks this way, not the random nonsense. So these all get those filters, and you get metallic asteroid chunks, so you gotta filter all of the outputs for these, otherwise things go wrong. And did I also make that mistake up here? No, I remembered it up here. So that's good, at least. And these guys are suffering from not enough asteroid chunks, which is unsurprising because we're stopped at Novice, which is not famously a good way of generating lots of asteroid chunks. Alright, so for now, let's go output priority right to just drain all this random stuff off of this belt. And the single bulk inserter is not doing a great job, so let's give you a friend. Yeah, I don't know why these guys seem like especially slow right now, but we're almost there at least. So that... Oh yes, so now all the random stuff is off. So you get to be swapped back to output priority left. So now this whole area is filled, except for potentially we have too much ice. We potentially have too much ice and not enough calcite. That shouldn't be like a reoccurring issue because I think I did the math. Because this produces 2 ice cubes and 1 calcite. It might be because this is first on the belt that this isn't getting as much priority on the ice cubes. I guess we'll have to find that out during our test run. Alright, so now we go back to here, and we missed flipping a belt around there for the ammunition, so let's get that in. And the base ammunition is now filling all of these guys, and it makes it all the way down. And then the railgun ammo has also made it all the way down, so the rockets should be able to do the same. And then it will simply be a question of, like, how much iron are we getting here? And is it going to be enough? So this guy is taking the iron ore. He doesn't have enough. Yeah, so while we're not actively moving, the asteroid supply is pretty bad, which means that unfortunately it just takes a while for this to get warmed up at all. So that is a significant delay. So the explosives are waiting on coal, which is waiting on carbon, which is not terribly surprising. And I think we set up excess outputs for all of those, so it shouldn't break. Although the sulfur is backlogging. Do we have that much more sulfur? We have got like 5 sulfur and like 4 sulfur worth of demand, so I guess it's kind of close to being an issue. But it should be fine still. So I guess the problem is we have like 5 sulfur, and this is like 2.6 coal, which should be enough, but it's just way more sulfur than coal. And we do have explosives. We do have rockets going out, so we should eventually get that to trickle through and get all this stuff armed up. And then we're just going to have to wait on this for a little bit. The fuel situation. Obviously, all of our fuel currently is just on the belts. And there's 11 in there, 11 in there, another solid chunk on there. So the fluoroketone supply, we need to actually get an output for the buckets. So I guess you can just not do that. Okay, stop, please. So that... the bucket output just needs to go underground to there, and then we just chuck the buckets into space, or not buckets, barrels. So that should provide us enough fluoroketone to get this whole thing going. And I don't know why you're saying your output full. I guess the plasma? Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so this is all working. The power supply is more than good enough. And we have all these various things going out. We have all the various things that we need getting output bit by bit. And the ammunition is starting to stockpile. Weirdly, it's stockpiling way more on that direction than it is on this direction. Despite the fact that this direction is much closer and therefore shouldn't take nearly as much time. I wonder if there's some weird priority thing going on with that. Who knows? Okay. So, the problem is, like, there's no backup ammo for these frontmost firearm magazines. So if they have to shoot at all, they're gonna, like, instantly run out. And then we'll be in trouble, and the rockets don't have anything, the railgun turrets don't even exist. So, we just sort of let this sit for a little bit, slowly trickling out the magazines until everything is good. And I guess we can just let that go in the background for a little bit. It's not exactly urgent. So this artillery gun that we were looking at earlier has gotten things under control. So, over to Fulgora. Our scrap supply is starting to become an issue. Like, this started at 40 million, we're already down to 36. So if we can get legendary big mining drills in there, then it'll be solved. But if we can't, then it might continue to be an issue. So over here on this, we have way too many red circuits. So this is jammed. This is just straight up entirely jammed because of too many red circuits, which is a problem. So you're also output full simultaneously. Okay, so we can start by cutting that extra input out, because we definitely don't need that. And the rest of these rows are all still running quite well. So we have 1,000 in there, extra 500 in there, and we're doing all sorts of loops to generate legendary iron and copper from the green circuits. So that's all looking good. Everything is looking good except for this first row where we just can't get any green circuits out of this because we can't get the red circuits to move forwards. So, how do we solve that? I guess we just have to... Let's see here. We need to find a way to squeeze in some buffer chests like we did here for the green circuits, which has worked well-ish. So, we go... We don't need as many, right? But we do need them to exist. So the problem is we need space for the boxes and another belt on the other side. So maybe we can just barely squeeze them in up here. So if we make that an underground belt, then you grab a whole bunch of stack inserters there, a whole bunch of stack inserters there. Okay, even that doesn't work, but it almost works. So if we take that out, now that just connects directly down to there. And we take this belt down, and then we have that be the connection. So we are only using one side of the belt past this point, which I do not think that matters for the red circuits. What matters is that now we've got these buffer chests in, which should help us keep things running, hopefully. And we're going to need to do something with this input, because clearly that's like part of the problem. So this is now outputting at full speed almost. I mean, a lot of these inserters are working. It's definitely going faster than it was. Still not going terrifically fast. So it's literally just like a couple of these. Although it does look like it is getting back under control. Just looks like that is dropping down a little bit. So the blue circuit output is moving, and hopefully that'll work. So we probably want just some way of like manually doing this, where we detect that this is getting jammed and then cut the blue circuit input from a circuit network thing, instead of having to notice and make that change every time. So that's working. And we still only have a couple machines running, but we're doing better now at least. And hopefully the lack of blue circuit input is going to help eventually. It takes a long time for this to actually dispose of excess circuits, because it's pretty much just these guys getting filtered up that way which is responsible. Like, there's enormous efficiency in terms of this cycle going back and forth. So let's hope that that gets back under control. How's this going as well? So the ammunition is stockpiling better. Now, the asteroids are absolutely not stockpiling at all, at least not up here. They're doing a bit better down here, both because this is sort of the end of the line for the asteroids, and because it just requires fewer, so they last longer. But we're definitely doing some stuff. If we can just get the basic ammunition, if we can just get that belt to loop all the way up to the front, then we can get this to move, because moving we won't need the rockets immediately, and moving will get the asteroid supply much better. Alright, so back over to here. This is still filling up with circuits. And these green circuit boxes are now starting to fill, which is a little bit worrying. And again, this should eventually get resolved if it can just keep running long enough. The outputs from here should decrease the total amount of stuff in the system, but it's going to take an extraordinarily long time because of all these blue circuits that we have built up. And I wonder if we... No, because we don't really have any good place to put these except for just like in a box or something. And I wonder if that's also something that we want to... If we also want to put these blue circuits in a box buffer. Yeah, let's actually do that. No, that's not a completely crazy idea. So we get a couple boxes there, and you get stack inserted from there, and then you stack insert down to there, and you form up, and we actually need to have this be outputting to both sides of the belt somehow, which I'm not entirely sure how we get that to work. I guess we will see once all this foundation and everything gets built in. So it's going to be something like this, and then looping back to there. But the exact details of like which of these two needs to be going up, I'm not sure about. We'll have to find out once the foundation is in place. So the good news is just having this is going to help this all run properly. So the 4 of these actually look like they aren't capable of grabbing everything from this belt. Okay, so we actually need... Yeah, let's just make this a full 6, just to be sure. And then we've got all this space. And we send 3 of them in that way, 3 of them in this way. And then maybe that one. So these 3 should go on that side. These 2 will go on this side, but I don't know which side this one will go on. And for some reason those don't look like they're full stacks. Doesn't really matter, but... And now you go back into there. And then that disconnect happens. And we should have that functioning as a full buffer. So we will want to upgrade all of those guys. So now this will be doing some weird stuff because of how the buffering works. But hopefully should be fine. So now we just send them back around that way. And it looks like this is filling perfectly. And now it's just going to backlog in there real quick. And there we go. So this is also serving the purpose of getting these to full stacks, which is nice, I guess. I don't think it makes much of a difference, but it is something. Alright, so now that that's going, we'll be able to have all of these guys run simultaneously. And if we need to make more space for one of these guys being missing, then we can just, like, click and remove that particular object using the power of drones, which will take a while, but it will work. And hopefully the larger buffers mean that that isn't necessary at all, although we could also like set up some sort of method of draining this stuff out with draining these if they get filled using using passive provider chests in here or something. That wouldn't be crazy. Would not be crazy at all. But that's all going, and it seems like it's working just fine. And it looks like I might have gotten this backwards in terms of which side this one outputs on, but I don't think that's really a huge deal anyways. As long as this belt is full, it's mostly irrelevant. As long as this output belt is full and this input belt is being completely picked up, then I don't really care which side all the belts go on exactly. So it might be a problem at some point, but it's certainly not going to be one for a while. Now we have a nice solid stockpile of blue circuits in here. And we can have everything running around even better now. So that is going. And how is the ammo? It's getting there. This belt is just extraordinarily long. It's just extraordinarily long. So on this side, for some reason, I don't know why so much less firearm ammo is going down this way. Or if there's some other story of what's happening with that. But like, this is clearly not even close to as long as that, which is highly mysterious. Okay, I wonder if we can just actively jumpstart this. Do we have firearm magazines just in the drone system? Yes, we do. Alright, so that will be very helpful because we want to be able to boot these up pretty quickly, right? And we don't want to put 10,000 of those on a belt. So you get set to be firearm magazine limited. And then no rocket turrets for you. We're just going to take this out, and then it can just run down this way through all those solar panels and into this row here. Alright, so that should successfully give us a nice solid starter supply of firearm magazines so that we don't have to wait for this to boot up. We can just have the ammo set up and ready to go. And then this will obviously be input priority right, because we don't want to be constantly draining novice for firearm magazines when we don't actually need to. And we need those belts to get built up. So there we go. And these aren't even stacked firearm magazines, so like it'll fill the belt a little better at least. So there we go. And we've got several hundred more where that came from. So that should just get everything all filled up nicely. And oh, it's going to the other side. It's going to the other side of the belt, which means that that's gonna be kind of awkward to do. Okay, so where's the... We're gonna need a whole lot of it in that case. Where is our firearm magazine production here on Novice? Can we... It's called magazine, right? We've got like 3 of these guys. We're losing a bunch of drones on Fulgora for no apparent reason. Okay, so this is dead. This doesn't do anything. So let's just remove that. And all of this actually can just go. That must have been like my first ever starter factory. Then we've got this one over here, which seems to be taking from the world's slowest supply of iron plates to deliver to the world's slowest supply of firearm magazines. So let's just get this whole area upgraded. And that'll probably cause some weird stuff to happen. But one of the weird things it should cause to happen is for this supply of firearm magazines to be able to go faster. And then you can stockpile a bit more than that. And then that other supplier up here, oh, that's super hyper fancy firearm magazines. Got it. Alright, so now this is running as fast as it can naturally, so let's give you some speed modules so you can go even faster. Alright, so that should help for setting up future versions of this. And yeah, so just like that, we've got plenty of firearm magazines set up in various places. And the supply that we have won't be, like, it won't be constantly sending more, but it should get there eventually, and it should all be fine. So, that's all good, and we just want this to output on the same side as this, so that's the right, so this is the right side of the belt. We want it to be the left side of the belt. Okay, so we'll take that out and then loop you around like that, just so that in future designs when we copy paste this, it'll all work out nicely. And for this design, though, I think we should basically be all ready to go. We're getting even more firearm magazines in, which will be nice. Alright, so step one is we have the firearm magazines. We don't have hardly any rockets, actually. Like, we've got rockets in turrets all the way down, but we don't have much of a stockpile of them. So, our starting trip will be just out to Vulcanus, and we will be watching this directly to see if there are any issues with it. The asteroid supply should spike up pretty fast and give us everything that we need to continue moving. And if it doesn't, then we'll have problems, but it should be fine. We don't have asteroid collectors on this edge, so we don't have total asteroid collector coverage, which might be a concern. We do have coverage from turrets and such, so it shouldn't be a massive issue. Alright, and we are absolutely flying. I mean, this number of engines will definitely do that. We're absolutely zooming. And are the defenses enough to keep up? Kind of barely, honestly. I guess, okay, no, these guys just have bad range, so that's not surprising, but I would really rather it be faster than this. Was that? Yeah, we actually did take a hit on a rocket turret there. Okay, so you need to stop. Once you're at Vulcanus, you can stop. We're 90% of the way there. And do we have spare? We do have spare gun turrets. Okay, so we're going to add a gun turret on each of those sides. And hopefully the problem was just that the corners were weird. And so then this last one is going to be a little bit annoying to get readjusted in. So you're going to have to go around like that. And then like so. Okay, so we have extra gun turrets for the corners. And I don't know if we're going to need to do some other fancy design for this. But we have ammo going out, and it's definitely doing a good job of replacing the stuff that we had. It's hard to tell whether it's absolutely going fast enough or not. But we are getting iron plates down to all of these machines, so yeah, every machine has all of the stuff that it needs except for these guys who are a bit tough, and they're mostly probably just limited by belt speeds. No, they are actually limited by iron supply. So what's up with the iron supply then? This area in here is already emptied. And this area down here is throwing stuff out. So that's... okay, that's a problem which I had noticed. So what we can do is, if we have you go like this. So we want you to be output priority right, so anything that goes in here stays in there. And then we need to mix this up so that the other things get split out earlier. So you go down and into there, and then you go down and not that far down and into there, and then that should still work, but then this will get half of the asteroids just immediately, and that should be okay. Now if we were to like, okay, if we fit a second row of gun turrets or something back here, it does have the range to be useful as like a bare minimum last ditch attempt. And we can certainly upgrade the speeds of the turrets, right? So quality gives better range, which quality turrets give better range, which should help keep everything covered. And that should be fine. Okay, so now let's just test that. So you are going to make a trip to Fulgora. And okay, it's stopped in Vulcanus. And not enough thrust. Did the engines die? Yes. We're not getting enough... oh, we're not getting enough calcite, and then these guys down here just never got connected up somehow. So we can do that. And then we're going to have to figure out what the heck is wrong with the calcite supply. So it's because these ice cubes are overfilled, I think. So we need to drain them like that. Oh, I see the problem. So this is supposed to be priority, but they're outputting onto two different sides of the belt. Oh, and also this is absolutely swamped with metallic asteroids for some reason. So that is not good. So step one is to fix this error. So these two are on different sides of the belt. And this one is actually getting priority because of which belt side it's on. Which is the opposite of what we want for that. And that's a problem. Okay, actually, don't go all the way to Fulgora. We're going to want you to park at Novice. So we just want you to go to Novice and park there for more construction. Because this is definitely non-functional. So one option would be to just throw away the excess ice cubes off the side of the space platform, which would be the most straightforward thing. So we just belt you over to there, and then that can go. And the problem with this, of course, is that now we don't get a stockpile of those. So we don't get a stockpile of ice cubes, which is no good. Okay, so how do we get the calcite? How do we get these ice cubes on the top side of this belt, or these ice cubes on the bottom side of this belt? So either one of those would work. I guess no. So we need these to be prioritized on the top side of the belt, not just generically on there. Okay, so let's just disconnect those for a bit. So you need to go there, and then like up and over and then down, but there's not enough space for that in this setup. So this needs to all move a bit over as well. This iron belt needs to be out of the way. So this iron belt, instead of going through there, we will have you come around and down like this somehow. And that should still have the same effect that we want it to and give us a bit extra space. So you go forwards a bit. Then that is all connected up like that. And this belt then goes out and then up and then over a bit and then down, while that goes like that. So now we are input priority right. And if we clear a few more ice cubes out of the picture so that this can start flowing again. Okay, right. Then we just need that to connect across. So now this gets priority, and this doesn't. And then we have the problem of there being 20 trillion metallic asteroids on this belt for no apparent reason. So we will start by just accelerating you. So you can get rid of one metallic asteroid, like 0.6 of a metallic asteroid really per second. And then, are you like, why is this one faster than either of these two? Like, ice recycling is for some reason twice as fast as carbonic recycling. Why is this so slow? Your crafting speed... Okay, I just don't understand that mechanism at all then, I guess. And we need to be a bit smarter about this then, so we need No, not arithmetic combinator. A decider combinator. So we take you, and actually, is this the job for a selector combinator? If we just like select the most common one. Let's see. Yeah, actually, so I think we do both probably. So we have you read hold all belts. And then we need the combinators to actually get launched, which should be any second now. This request for construction tab is real weird right now, but that's something unimportant. Okay, so we have the decider combinators, and you are going to say each greater than... So let's see, the total number of items in here is 100 of those, so it's like 130. So we should be able to theoretically have 40 of each item. So we do that, and then you are select input, and I don't know how this works, but we connect you up to that, and then we have you set filter output priority right, so that should theoretically do it, and then we need to actually make that connection. Okay, so yes, so this takes the output of this, which is highest, and tells the machines to destroy it as long as it's over like 40. And so that should give us space on our belt. And for some reason, these guys up here just have absolutely zero excesses of any kinds, which I'm still extremely suspicious about why that's happening, but at least now this is fixed. So that's fixed. You basically now stockpile up to 40 of each item, and you should be fine. So now we have more calcite. But now this isn't running because there's still just too much ice off of this one alone, which I don't know how that's happened, but we are going to need to do an ice output as well. So let's get a bulk inserter there, and then you can actually, I have an idea. So you read based on that bulk inserter. So you are going to be read hand contents, hold, and you are going to be enable disable if anything is greater than 1. Wait, no, that's not going to work. Because what we want to do is, if this is just sitting there doing nothing, then we need to clear out the extra ice. But that is not going to work. So instead, we can just have it read from this belt region. So if that belt region has more than, like, I don't know, maybe 20 is a good number, who can say? So that should keep the ice output running if these guys... Okay, now we actually have a calcite overfill, which is what we should have had this whole time. So now this guy can go, right? And that underground belt was facing the wrong way for some reason. Okay, so that now sends all of that ice out. And the thrusters should be fully fueled. This belt in here does nothing. Alright, so the thrusters should be fully fueled. This whole area should be functional again. And the ammunition supply is... Alright, so the machine gun ammo is completely filled up. The railgun ammo is filling, I guess. Not that it needs to. And the rocket ammo is going very, very slowly for some reason. Alright, where do we keep losing all these drones on Fulgora? It's over here. Okay, that's a weird spot for us to not have lightning collector coverage. So let's get a lightning collector out there and fix that problem. Alright, so now we've got this. So we've got this, and the regular ammo is totally all clear. The rockets are waiting on explosives, which are waiting on sulfur now. And the sulfur is going out. There's just not much of this stuff to do it with. Okay. Test flight to Fulgora number 2. And let's just get the weight conditions in there so that we can make this go properly. So test flight number 2 out to Fulgora. How is this going to work? Are we going to be taking damage? Are we going to be having fuel issues? This is what we're trying to figure out. So the fuel supply seems to be going fine for now. We've got a weird number of carbonic asteroids in there, but we have the balancing system, so that should never be an issue. Then up here is the ammo, and it is just doing its thing still. It's still going to be a bit far behind because we don't have enough production. Alright, then up at the front, we've got all this stuff. So the machine guns are successfully chewing through, but it's still a little bit close for comfort, all things considered. I'd really like it to be better than this, but it isn't. Alright, so we're going to have to probably add on that second line of defense, which will be for everything but the railguns, I guess, because the railguns can't really do that, because they're just too big. Alright, so we've made it safely to Fulgora, and we didn't take any damage. Meanwhile, these ridiculous drones, stop doing this. Travel in safe locations, please. Alright, hopefully that'll help a little bit more. Alright, so now we're safely stopped at Fulgora. And we got a big burst of more asteroids, so let's see what that does for us. And we have plenty of sulfur going out, and a whole lot of it being used instantly. Yeah, the sulfur demand is real high, but we have explosives. We also have all the other stuff, obviously. That's going fine. And we are throwing away a colossal amount of asteroids down in the fuel area. Are these not going to be fast enough to keep up, I wonder? It'll be hard to tell. So the thing is, we're using stack inserters so that there's more stuff on the belts, which means that it will take absolutely forever for this to completely fill up. Alright, so we're stopped at Fulgora, and the asteroid supply here is all metallic, which we don't really need, so we're gonna want a setup like this for recycling as well. So let's see if we can find somewhere to fit this in. So this, I guess if we put it like here, it should be fine. And we're going to need to get the crushers back for that to work. I don't know what that is. Alright, and then we're probably also going to need the sorter at some point. Okay, so this is all going, and it's mostly just chucking away iron and copper. So, really what we want is some way to only activate these if the other one is having problems. So let's get that in. So this iron belt here, we can run you back to there. So this will be read belt contents hold on that whole area. And you will be enable disable on iron ore. So you will enable when iron ore is less than 100, let's say. So that when we don't have enough iron, we'll start chucking away copper to make room. And then we have the same setup up to there, where you will be read, hold all belts, and you will be enable disable on copper ore. And you will be copper ore is less than 80, maybe? So, as long as we have plenty of these things, we won't throw out the other one, so that should help. That should help a little bit, because now these guys aren't just producing iron for fun. They actually won't do that unless it's useful in some way. Okay, so your first step, now we want you to go back to Novice again to pick up the crushers that you need, because Vulcanus obviously doesn't have them. And it looks like we just threw away some copper there. So you can go back to Novice, and then we will see if... we will get to see once more if this is all fine. And then if it isn't, hopefully just extended range gun turrets will help. If extended range gun turrets don't solve the problem, then I don't know what to do. Aside from just add a second row in for even better DPS, I guess. So you're going to go back to Novice, pick up the crushers, and then we're going to schedule a trip all the way out to Aquilo to see if those rocket turrets work, because they're starting to get filled up enough at this point, and hopefully this trip will get us fully covered as far as that's concerned. So that is all going. We're picking these guys up like crazy and getting plenty of asteroids. Now it looks like a lot of asteroids are getting, a lot of the chunks are getting by the collectors, so we can also get higher quality collectors to make this go even better. So let's actually just go down to Novice and figure out what that takes. So the collectors are processing units, electric engine units, and low-density structures. Okay, so engine units are pretty easy. It's mostly green circuits and iron stuff. Then the processing units, we have those already. And then the low density structures are annoying because they're going to require plastic. So that won't be too bad, but hopefully we just don't need to. Hopefully it's fine. And we're going to be sending this out to Aquilo, so we'll be figuring that out pretty dang soon. So you have plenty of metallic asteroids in here. So that's not an issue. And the water supply is all good. The calcite supply for this stuff is all good. So nothing to worry about there. And then we've got these guys doing their recycling, which should help out a little bit. And then we are going to want... we're going to want these guys in. So, I don't know what we need to copy-paste. Probably just these guys. So we get that. So we get this in. And how do we want these lined up? I guess it doesn't really matter. So, we are going to be reading from this section in here into that. And, alright, you need to be hold all belts. So you are 100-something of the metallic asteroids and kind of nothing of everything else. So then, that just does its job, and then this passes through to here. And now we need this to be output priority right, but feed from here and set filter. So, this now has things under control, right? So now metallic asteroid chunks are already down to the 30s. And I might, because this is a larger belt, I might set this condition up to 60. Because it should be able to hold a lot more asteroids at a time. But we just do that, and it should be all good. So the rockets and railguns as well are fully stacked down this way. So now all the output is going into filling in this side, which should happen relatively smoothly. So that's all fine. Let's see here. So power-wise, we are sort of running low, just based on the fact that Novice doesn't have any and isn't going to be getting more. So this does kind of need to get out to Aquilo relatively soon for its power restock, which shouldn't be an issue. We should be going out there pretty much immediately now. And let's actually space map. Fulgora is next to Aquilo, right? Yes, Fulgora and Gleba are the two. Okay, so we are going to get you going back out to Fulgora. And off you go. So now we're traveling. And this time, unlike the previous times, things seem to be going pretty well. We've got a good mix of supplies down there. We have nothing up here because it all gets instantly drained, but that should get there eventually. And it should get there eventually. This space platform is really long. But we are going. And this time when we get to Fulgora, we're just going to pause a bit there to let us transform some of these asteroids into ammunition. And then we will be headed for... what's it called? We will be headed for Aquilo, hopefully. We just need the explosives. We just need the explosives to make the rockets to make the trip. And once these rockets are fully stockpiled, we shouldn't need to produce nearly as many as we are right now. So this should hopefully be a temporary shortage. We have... how much? We have 3 assembly machines making rockets, whereas this one has... okay, this one has 4, but they're not as fast, right? Because these guys have extra modules and everything. Alright, so here we are, stopped at Fulgora. And we have plenty of asteroids going through there. So we need to probably set this as a priority, because we don't need fuel necessarily as much. We need ammo. And really, it would be nice to be able to control for that. So, like, if this is outputting stuff, then we set this all the way up here to prioritize the ammunition. But hopefully it should just be fine anyways. So that is all going through. And yeah, this can definitely be like even 90 or something. Because we can make use of all these asteroids that we're currently just throwing away. So let's make sure to do that. Alright, so we're at another point where the sulfur supply is back up. And we're converting all that stuff into a whole lot of rockets. And that is just going to keep being a bit of a nuisance. But hopefully it'll wind up being okay. We have even more asteroids in this area than we normally do. And we are recycling them. So it should be fine. So that's all going. And we just need... yeah, we actually have a huge sulfur buildup still. So this is just going to keep producing. It's just going to keep on going. And eventually we kind of just have to say go for it. Like this... I mean, even the railgun ammo is almost backed up to the point where if we had railguns, they would have buffers, which is pretty cool. So it is actually just the rocket turret ammo which is being the slowest somehow, which I don't understand, because these produce way faster than the railgun ammo, but who knows. Maybe, oh, because the railgun ammo isn't stacked, that's why. Railgun ammo is just sitting on the belt normally, which we probably should have done for all of these guys. Like, there's just no reason to have it be like this, but it is what it is. So that's all going. We have plenty of coolant, it looks like, although we could seemingly use more, but not to an alarming degree. Yeah, we've got actually plenty of this stuff. So that's all good. And is this mostly calmed down? The sulfur supply hasn't limited. So I want to get as close to... I want to get the rockets up to covering the front of the belt so that we don't... so that we can have immediate reloads if we need to, and it's almost there. We just need a little bit more. And this is all going. It should be fine. Now, I don't know if we can have this set like this forever, but... Okay, here's what we can do. We have you set like that, and then you also read from there, and then set output side left if anything is greater than 1, and right if everything is less than... Alright, this has to be... That should be that, maybe... Wait, no. You need to be greater than, because it's going to be like 60 or something. So then you are 4 less than or equal to 1, I guess. So your set output side... Wait, no, not you. You are set output side. So... Okay, these need to be reversed. These need to be reversed. So left, if everything is less than or equal to 1, and right if anything is greater than 1. So, if we don't have enough ammo, we send it into the ammo. If we have too much stuff in here to the point where this is throwing stuff away, then we send it down to the fuel. And that should do the job, hopefully. Now, how is our rockets? Alright, so they're very nearly there. We just need a couple more cycles. We need this to not... We need this to hold out production for just a little bit longer. And it looks like it's not going to. So we're just going to have to, I guess, awkwardly sit here for a little bit while that goes. We are still getting some of everything, though. So it should be fine. There's sulfur going through, making our explosives, and occasionally making some rockets. Man, that cycle actually takes quite a while to actually make a full belt of those. Alright, so that is that. Is this good enough? We just need, like, the tiniest bit more. We do not need much more. For some reason, these used to be at 11, now they're down to 9. I don't know why that is. We just need the tiniest bit more rockets, just like down to here-ish. And then I'll feel safe launching this towards Aquilo. And then that should start draining our railguns. And then we should be good to go from there. We do occasionally use a little bit of machine gun ammo while sitting above a planet. Alright, so this is still going. Even the coal supply is starting to get low. Alright, let's... The only rocket turret which doesn't have a bit of a buffer is this one over here. And all the rest of them actually have pretty reasonably good buffers. And this rocket turret here should have the range to cover everything. Alright. Let's bring us up to Aquilo. And you're going to have your weight conditions that make you never move. Alright, so now we get to see if the rocket turrets can do their thing properly. And then we'll get the railgun turrets, and we'll get to see if they can work properly. And we'll also get to see, incidentally, if we're able to keep the thrusters properly fueled while doing all this with our current setup, which prioritizes the ammo production. that is going through. We're making our way through. These guys still haven't needed to shoot anything yet. As far as I can tell, at least. Okay, yes, there we go. And it takes a couple rockets per asteroid. But they're still pretty infrequent, at least at this point. So hopefully their frequency doesn't scale up so much that everything explodes. It looks like the supply of asteroids is making the rocket supply fill up about as fast as we shoot them, if not a little bit faster. So that should be fine. But the margin for error on that is still quite small, obviously. And there we go. Just getting through. And it seems to be working. We're halfway there. The number of rockets on the belt doesn't seem to have budged much at all from this random long-handled inserter. It's been hovering around there for the past little bit. Although it does seem like maybe it's creeping towards the right now. That would be a good sign if it's true. So all that stuff gets blasted. Okay, it's definitely slowly creeping towards the right, so we are keeping things fully filled. And okay, the gun turrets are confirmed not enough to keep us covered all the way through, and we even lost a gun turret, which is pretty bad. And we don't have spares up here. We're almost there, though. But yeah, it's the massive waves that come from when we break a couple of the big guys at once. It looks like the gun turrets aren't up to the task of shooting all those down. And that isn't going to be a ranged thing. That's just going to be a fire rate and damage thing. So we're going to need to add in that second row of gun turrets that I was thinking we might need, but hoping we wouldn't. Alright, so we made it to Aquilo. We took some damage, but we are here now. And the wave of asteroids should more or less calm to a stop. And then we check down here. Got a whole lot of ice asteroids there. And a whole lot of ice asteroids down here. But the fuel supply looks completely untouched. And the ammo supply has plenty of stuff to work with. Okay, so we made it here. We are presumably... we're above Aquilo. How is... did I put these into like the wrong... I put those into the wrong type of box. That is a requester chest and not a passive provider chest. Yeah, that's stupid of me. Oh well. Alright, so railguns now getting launched. Can you also just like craft some basic gun turrets? Copper, iron, and gear wheels. We just need a couple gun turrets to resupply that. And that's not a good place to put them. We need this to all be next to heating pumps. So we go something like this, something like that, and then output up to there. And then you are going to be gun turrets. Do we not have... I know we have requester chests on Aquilo. I just dismantled one 5 seconds ago. Alright, so it's iron plates, iron gear wheels, and copper plates. So we have all those. And then this should be powered. But for some reason... Oh, wait. I have to probably run over here and do this stuff manually. Okay, somehow that managed to be just out of power range. And we have the iron and copper plates, but we don't have the gear wheels. So let's get a setup for those as well. So we get you to feed in some iron plates, and you are set to make gear wheels. Then, okay, we need to go to drone view to get that heat pipe in because we don't have any in our personal inventory. And then you output to a passive provider chest, and we only need like a stack of those at a time. Okay, so that, let's give you productivity modules. So that should, okay, and probably a speed beacon as well, just because I'm impatient. So that all goes in. Then we need to get a heat pipe built. And speed module U. Okay, so that should get us a nice solid supply of gun turrets here. And we don't need many, we just need enough to satisfy this platform. Get that repaired back in. Okay, did I just see a railgun shoot? So you're set to fire at huge ones. I just saw something that looked a whole lot like a railgun shot. Not sure if that's actually what that was. Okay, and then you are from now on going to be grabbing these from here. It says none are on the way. Oh, we actually need space platform foundations to construct that. And these railguns are definitely shooting. Okay, so those should only be shooting at huges. Oh, I know. I didn't set to ignore unlisted targets. So that's set. And we definitely need those for all the railguns, which is just this front line. Okay, so railguns are fine now, and we just need space platform foundations and to figure out if... Are you stuck? You don't have any low density structures. Okay, why do you not have any low density structures? That's preventing us from launching stuff. So one of you guys, probably Aquila Support 2, should... Yes, so you are bringing 200 of these in from Fulgora. Alright, let's have you move 400, or let's go crazy and have it be 800. We don't have any shortage of any of the direct scrap outputs on Fulgora, so that won't be a concern. Alright, so now we've made as many gun turrets as possible. So now we go back up to this, and you need this sort of second line of defense back here, where we're just going to add a second gun turret everywhere that there would be, and then you can grab those through these guys, underground belts. Okay, so that should be all functional if we had all the ingredients to craft this stuff. So Aquilo Support 2 is almost here with the rest of the railguns. Or not the rest of the railguns, but the low-density structures to launch the rest of the railguns anyways. And so we're going to hang out here above Aquilo while that happens. And then we're going to have to head back to Novice to get that all sorted out. In the meantime, Aquilo seems to be functioning properly. We've got plenty of science packs at least. So yeah, Aquilo Support 2, which is, compared to my new variant, this is why I designed a new variant. This is enormously wide and inefficient, but it's fine. And that's all going. Speed 92 kilometers per second, which is a lot slower than this new variant that we have here. So hopefully that will all be good. And we can just get this all set up. We are still occasionally using rockets, which could be a problem from this side because we sort of broke our connection to there. But hopefully that gets fixed soon. So we have the extra gun turrets, which should keep us covered. Then this connection somehow is fake. Why is that? Why is this belt here not real? There should be... Okay, what if we... Oh, it's because this foundation right there got dismantled. Okay. So, Aquilo Support 2, when you get out here, do you have space platform foundations on you as well? Because that might be helpful for you to have. Okay, and you don't. So we also want... Because fusion power is becoming a bigger deal, we're going to want to stockpile way more fusion power cells at a time. So let's just get that going as well. Just sort of as an unrelated additional thing. So you are launching all that stuff down, and hopefully that will be good enough for now. And then we go to Aquilo. These guys have not that many of each. What's the request looking like here? You are... Okay, you need to request more than that. You request like 2,000 of each. Just so that we don't have stockpile problems like this again. We definitely need you, above all else. We need you to be able to launch rockets successfully. Okay, so you apparently have express underground belts, which is cool. You wouldn't happen to have space platform foundations. Maybe we can make them. So we need steel plates and copper. So we might have those. So you get set to steel plates and copper cables. No good. Okay, so then you can get set to copper cables. And you are output full. Right, so we just need to do that real quick. Alright, and now we let you output the space platform foundations. This is all incredibly scuffed, but we should be able to more or less successfully repair our platform like this. We won't have that asteroid collector. That'll be the one thing that we're going to be missing. But we should be able to get most of the rest of this stuff up. And this underground belt is damaged, but that shouldn't be a huge issue. Alright, so the railguns... Why does it say on the way 1? Surely... Are these... Oh wait, those are just rocket capacity of 1. That's what's happening. It's probably also why we used like all of our low density structures already. So these are productivity moduled, but they're not like tier 2 productivity moduled or anything. And they have one speed module each, but this one is super hampered by all these extra beacons. Alright, so that is launching the extra railgun. And we have the space platform foundations that we need. So we can just immediately limit you back down to where you were previously. And then that should be all we need except the repair pack, which is just needed to repair this underground belt, which should never take any damage anyways. So that should be fine. Alright, another railgun turret gets built in. And we just have one left. Okay, wait, no, the railgun turret is there. You must be missing like a foundation or something to build it. Yeah, up in that corner. Okay, so we apparently need to launch enough space platform foundations to fill an entire rocket, which is 50. Alright, so I guess we need to get the copper wire going to get this up to 50. But that shouldn't be too hard. We're already at 40. We've got plenty of steel plates. And the copper cable is... Okay, the copper cable might become an issue. But we can actually just do that to get some more of that in. You're up to 47. 48. So yeah, you should be able to get there no problem. And 49. And one more, and then you should be good to go. Yeah, and then instantly the drones all pick it up and carry it away. Alright, so these then fill up a rocket silo. And that should be everything. So those will get launched. And then this should be fully operational again. And in the meantime, we have managed to fully saturate we've almost managed to fully saturate the rockets. So those are going all the way back to here. And they just have to make it down the rest of this belt and the railguns too. That should happen just on our next trip. So that shouldn't be an issue. Apparently somehow it thought we had a donut, but we definitely didn't. So now this is all built except for that one repair pack that it wants. And you did get a restock of fusion power, so that's all good. And now, like this, let's travel back to somewhere. Fulgora, I guess. Just get the travel happening so that we can test all this stuff, see if it's working. And actually, did we ever do the... Yeah, we never actually did the research to let us go to Shattered Planet or Prometheum Science Pack. So let's actually queue that up and send it to the front of the list. Because now we have a thing that's actually capable of doing it, right? So we might as well. It's estimated 11 minutes before that finishes. So the rocket launches are all doing their thing. The second row of gun turrets seem to be kicking in every so often. But nowhere near as much as the first row of gun turrets, which already have, like, infinity damage dealt. Alright, so you are 146 kilometers per second in the front half of the trip. Now, I believe, if I remember correctly, the back half of the trip is slightly faster, because gravity or whatever, but still 146 is pretty solid. We've got a lot of ice cubes up there, and a whole lot of nothing down here, actually. But we are getting the occasional item through. Okay, so yeah, now actually it's looking a fair bit better. Okay, we need to improve this splitting setup. We need to improve this splitting setup so that this actually... Yeah, okay, so I have an idea. We cut you off from there, and we instead connect you into there, and if anything is greater than 50, then it'll send it down this way, and that should also just sort of take the place of monitoring this. It's super annoying that it's like all ice out here and we have to do all this recycling, but it should be fine. There are still some of the other things. Okay, also, if you look up front, haven't taken any damage after 166 kilometers per second in the second half of the trip. And it seems to just be working along nicely now. So now we have a massive supply of asteroids down here, so this should be fine. We've got calcite, we've got ice cubes, we've got everything else. And that is keeping our engines running. So yeah, it should be fine. Should be just fine. And so now the only thing is that I guess we have to actually go out towards this shattered planet, see what that's all about. And we are going to need a setup for that, actually. So we're going to need a... We have splitters and belts, right? We have 30 splitters and 77 express belts. Okay, so we can just do this. So filter... We haven't even unlocked the thing that we want to be filtering yet. So that'll be fine. But you just do that. And for now you're going to be... Yeah, I guess technically we're going to want you to be something like this. And then you're going to need a nice big storage loop. So you're going to want a storage loop here. Oh, and this should temporarily be output priority that side, actually. So we want a nice big storage loop because it's way more space efficient than shoving it into the actual cargo hub. So you do that. Let's get those random items off of this. And then you can come up here and then probably do more storage loop in this area, but that can sort of be improvised. And then you run up here and in... Oh, wait. We have to actually get you all the way up to the hub up there. Okay. So then the belt goes all the way up that way. And then into the space platform hub so that it can get loaded up at the last minute and then dropped down into the thing. So then this will be... It'll be set to do stuff at some point, basically. And now that we're above Fulgora, we actually have the ability to launch the belts and repair packs for this. So we have 100 belts on the way. And... Okay, let's actually just take these solar panels out and then just use this whole space as our storage loop. So we go out this way, we go up, and then down, and then up, and then I wonder if we can actually copy-paste this. It'd be real convenient if this could be copy-pasted. So let's see if we just do that. Does that work? Does it work down here at the bottom end? It does. Okay, so that basically all goes in like that, and then this last one connects down there and then fills that up. And then we're probably going to want a couple loaders so that this can be done quickly. And then those will get that set. So now we're going to have to launch a whole lot more of those up. So we get to launch a whole bunch of belts up to make this gigantic storage loop thing, which will do absolutely nothing until apparently 4 minutes from now when we finish that science pack and we can actually add things to our filters. Alright, we're still losing drones. This time it's along this route. So we need, collectors there and there to get that whole area covered. So that should do the trick. And now this base platform exists. And all the ammo... So the railgun ammo is almost entirely backlogged to the point where this machine isn't going to be producing anymore. So that should help dramatically with our resource demand, because we're not going to need nearly as many railgun shells as we've been producing. And the same should go for the rockets. Once they get fully backlogged, it should ease off a bunch, and those are also all the way down to there. So we just get to sit here while we launch up another couple hundred belts to finish off this ridiculous thing in here. And then we should have a late game transport system. And you are going to want an interrupt to go to Aquilo when you're low on fuel instead of going to Novice. But that could be done once we're getting these guys fully automated instead of just testing them. Alright, speaking of testing things, how is this going? Okay, so at some point we had burned through all the blue circuits, and now we need to connect the input back in. So we should be able to do that, and hopefully with this buffer in here, hopefully we won't have any weird problems. But we do need to be continually producing legendary red circuits, although that is actually backlogged, so maybe we don't. Maybe what we need is a copy-paste of this, flipped, not horizontally, flipped vertically for spacing reasons. You go in there, and then this splits off, and feeds in that way. With output priority left, obviously. And then these are not going to be given the filters they are. We're going to need to... Let's see. Red circuit recycling is going to give us like green circuits and plastic and copper cables. So the green circuits are kind of not that important, right? I mean, we've still got thousands of the things here. So if we can just continually dismantle those down. Okay, so first of all, that gets powered. We want you to be a supply of legendary plastic. Boxes do legendary plastic, because why not? We need the stuff anyways. Oh, we've officially gotten the achievement for researching all technologies. So that is cool, which means now we go here. This can be filtered to Promethium asteroid chunk pointing left. Alright, so now this whole area here will be Promethium asteroids only. And we might have broken the space platform, the space launch system over Fulgora. Let's check that out, I guess. What are you guys doing? Oh no, there's just another... We're just launching hundreds of regular blue circuits. Oh, for Aquilo support. Right, so that is fine. Those will get through, and then these last 99 transport belts should get launched. And then in the meantime, railgun ammo has fully saturated. We don't need any of that anymore. So then it is just a question about the rocket ammo, which is also making serious progress. Looks like there's a sulfur shortage at the moment, which is unsurprising. So that's all good. It should be fixed with our next trip. And then we'll get to see if we can actually sustain this thing long term without having like actually not enough input. And that will have to be something that we figure out, but it should be fine for now, at least. Like, these rockets are getting back there. And you're all set up. We just need these last belts to launch. And okay, so the problem is that getting these rocket launches are very, very far away from like where all of our supply is, which means that it takes them absolutely forever to launch even when we have enough stuff for them. Which means, so the easiest way to fix that is we just pop in a couple more. And they also need to get the requester chests as well. So this should basically just let us launch twice as fast because we can have twice as many rockets loading at a time. There'll still be a massive delay, which is going to be a pain, but at least for now this should be better until we fully redesign Fulgora so that this entire island is obsolete. We still mostly want stuff coming from this island. So you do have plenty of all those things. So now we're launching even more low-density structures. Gosh, Aquilo Support 2 must want a lot of those. Yes, it wants 800 of them. Yeah, that makes sense. Alright, so that is all gonna happen, and it's gonna take absolutely ages. you can actually just temporarily move on, I think. So you can just go on to Aquilo. You have, like, the important stuff, probably. Should be fine. And we want our brand new test thing to actually get launched. Alright. They have been queued up. So we have our 100 belts, and then we'll be able to send this off into the Shattered Planet, I guess, will be our goal. Because the edge of the solar system is how you beat the game, which I'm still not anywhere near ready to do that quite yet. So we just have to wait for that launch to happen. And it's in this rocket here. And nothing has made it up here just yet. They probably have to travel all the way across the planet. In fact, yeah, these are them right here. And they are going to be making their way all the way up here. It's kind of funny that, like, the drone port range is very small, but then the drones will just go, like, all the way across these massive gaps where theoretically they shouldn't be able to reach, but they kind of just do. Alright, so that should be that. It's going to take quite a while. Fulgora is currently not the world's most practically designed planet. It's just very, very spread out and awkward. We are going to be spending significant time just redesigning all the planets to make them better. But that will be a job for the future. Alright, this last one here isn't in drone range, so let's get one out for that. It's just barely missing it, okay. So now we can have a fourth rocket. This is up to 96 out of 100. And I think we needed 99. We needed 99 to launch in order for it to work successfully. So we just need to wait for these last 4, wherever they are, these last 4 belts to show up. Okay, and they did, finally. So that's going to go up. And now this space platform, which originally was just intended to be a very basic trip between Fulgora and Vulcanus, is now suddenly going to be real complicated. But we can send it off towards the Shattered Planet, I guess. And okay, so if like 1 damage is taken, then you turn around and leave. Or there'll be some time limit condition, presumably, once we figure out how much it can handle. But I don't know that yet, so I don't know what to set for it. Alright, off to the Shattered Planet you go. We have fully capped out all of our rocket production and all of our railgun production. The sulfur hasn't quite gotten there yet, but it will very soon. And then we should be pretty much good to go. So off we go, time to see what happens. So this first stretch is just making the trip back to Aquilo. This was fine last time, although we did take damage last time. We took damage last time, now we have our extra row of gun turrets, so that hopefully that'll be covered. This rocket turret... Why do you... Oh, I see, okay. So that underground belt just didn't get built in. So we just fixed that nice and easy, and that will push this back like the tiniest bit so that our rocket production is going to have to be going again, but we should be fine. So now this all goes out, and the rockets can launch. And rockets and railguns doing their thing. So, that is that. And how's Aquilo doing, by the way? Did you ever get... No, you haven't gotten that yet. But Aquilo Support 2 is like most of the way there at speed of 92. This one is way faster. Not quite twice as fast, but somewhat close to being twice as fast, honestly. And there we go. Still haven't taken any damage. Still just going. Everything seems to be fine. Although it is getting a little bit close there at that corner. So we might need even more. We might need even more backup gun turrets. Making the backup gun turrets, especially legendary quality, to boost their range would probably be hugely impactful because a lot of their range is being wasted anyways. But I guess we'll see. If we can make it to get a reasonable amount of asteroid chunks without it, then that will be cool. Otherwise, we'll just have to see what happens. Alright, we're almost there. Almost there, still no damage taken. In terms of repairs, we have repair packs, we have some foundations, we have some turrets, we have some rocket turrets. We don't have any spare railgun turrets, so if one of those gets lost, we're kind of in trouble. But here we go. Okay, so apparently you go to the solar system edge and then past that to the shattered planet. Now we know that. Okay, I've clicked away at like the one point where I really wanted to be watching. So this path here, Aquilo to solar system edge. We start with a whole bunch of bigs, but then we do eventually get to huge ones. So, let's see. Have we taken any damage? Still not. We're still fine. So it looks like the raw number of asteroids sort of drops off a little bit once you're past the first wave. And then it's just into the massive ones, which I just saw a railgun snipe one of those. That's pretty cool. The railguns are so fast. It's kind of hard to broken. I think YouTube might be broken. Okay, no, it was just a temporary thing somehow. Okay, it's fine now, and that's the important part. Okay, is that... If that huge asteroid is coming in at an angle, and it, like, scrapes us at some point down here, that could be a problem. Hopefully it's just heading directly downwards. It's hard to say. But our coverage doesn't go that wide. So it all looks fine. How far away is this? It's apparently really, really far. So far, so good. The trip is very long, though. Yeah, how long is this trip? It's 100,000. Okay. That's potentially concerning. But ammo supplies looking good. We've got more asteroid chunks than we know what to do with. And then we look up front. And that's all doing fine. Yeah, I don't know. The problem is, if you look away for 5 seconds, then something might explode in those 5 seconds. But it mostly looks fine. That was 2 huge asteroids right next to each other. That might be a bit difficult to deal with. Come on, gun turrets. Oh, that's really close. But we did manage to hold out. Yeah, it's getting uncomfortably close in a lot of different places. And I'm not super thrilled about that. Because, like, if there is some weird coincidence where, like, you know, 3 huge asteroids show up all at once, then that could be a serious issue. Okay, it does say damage taken. Yeah, we actually did... A railgun got clipped even. That's not good. Okay, so maybe we need to... Maybe we need to limit the speed? Because the faster you go, the more asteroids spawn, I think. And that could be the thing. So this is getting... did I just see a low power indicator? Surely not. Surely the power should be fine. Okay, so yeah, we definitely need to do something with this. So, step one might be to limit the speed. And... Oh, did we just take more damage? Yeah, okay. Pause thrust immediately. So that should slow us down, which should keep us relatively safe. But yeah, we're taking damage, and a lot of the damage seems to be focused on the railguns because they're sticking out, which is unfortunate because they're also the most expensive part. Okay, so you need to head back to Aquilo, because if we're just stationary here, then the huge asteroids are going to start coming in from the sides, and then we're kind of extremely doomed because we don't have railgun coverage for the sides. And that would basically be destruction for everything. So you need to start heading back, and then we need to... We have a spare decider combinator, right? Yes. So if you... Okay, we can't connect directly to the thrusters. So we're going to need to limit the amount of fuel production in general, or maybe we can do that up at the hub. That might be where you can control the speed. So you are connected into there. Okay, yeah, so you can read speed. That's 166. So let's read the speed into there, and then we need to take that just like all the way. Okay, this combinator needs to be somewhere where we can actually connect it to things. So that, I don't even know if this needs to be a combinator. It could probably work just fine as just like a regular old wire connection, but having the ability to make it complicated later if we need to seems like a good idea. The amount of damage we're taking is starting to accumulate, so hopefully we can hold out until we are back to Aquilo, where things should calm down a lot, hopefully. There shouldn't be any huge asteroids down there. Okay, so this is almost where we need it to be. Okay, so now we have it to all of those, and these are going to be enable, disable on, like, I don't know, just a check mark equals 1. And then you get that pasted, and then we're going to have to do it manually because you have a different recipe. Check mark equals 1. Alright, so we can turn off fuel production to decrease thrust, theoretically. And now we just need to go up to here, and you output a check mark of 1 if V is less than let's say 100. So does this work? So we go up to 100, and then our thrust decreases. So I guess we're just sort of going to be oscillating between like 100 and 120 like this. That's probably fine. It's a lot slower than our max speed, so we should be mostly safe doing that. And is there like another way? Can we like read? Yes. So this is read moving 2. So we have that, and now we have a signal for there, so we can go that. If that is true, and we're headed to there, or we have to do this in the annoying way. So if that, or we're headed to Shattered Planet. So where is that? Alright, so if velocity is less than 100, and wait, it needs to be, we're not headed to Solar System Edge or Shattered Planet, or velocity is less than 100, right? Okay, so yeah, actually, we have an or, and then we have an and. So it's like that. So if that equals 0 and that equals 0, or that's less than 100, then we can produce fuel. Right? Right. Alright, cool. So we might have to tweak the exact speeds, but it'll be something like that. And we're going to have to amp up our defenses on this even more. So let's just bring you back to Novice for now, because we're going to be amping up our defenses, which means more construction, which means somewhere where we have access to everything that we need. So you are fully operational. This particular railgun needs to have its inserter moved, just because of how things lined up with the underground belts. So as long as we're not headed into the huge... As long as we're not headed super far out, then this is fine, right? Like, this is perfectly functional at max speed without any problems, so long as we are headed within the solar system, basically. Unless those earlier trips to Aquilo and stuff were a fluke, or there's some ability for there to be really bad luck as well, but hopefully neither of those are the case, and we can just do this as is. So I think... So we have a space platform which can, like, almost make it out to the Shattered Planet. So let's head back to Novice and start working on getting legendary quality gun turrets. So we should have all those pieces, right? Is Fulgora still producing those? Did that break at some point? Very much might have broken at some point. Okay, we have thousands of each of those, and a whole lot less iron, to be fair. Okay, but it should be doable to just make a couple of legendary gun turrets, right? So we just get a assembly machine 3, and you are going to make legendary gun turrets, and you get a passive provider chest and a requester chest. Then those all get built in. And this is read ingredients and set requests. Okay, so apparently we actually just don't have any regular good old-fashioned legendary iron plates here on Novice. So we have plenty of them on Fulgora, right? We've got this whole guy up here making tens of billions of them. And this... Alright, we probably need to improve something along these lines. So you get to be upgraded. Hopefully that shouldn't do anything, probably. But we just need to probably have a second row of outputs for these. We just need more recyclers to deal with all this stuff before it gets completely oversaturated, like it's currently doing. So, let's get this, and you have a row up here. Wait, no, that's probably not what we want. Okay, maybe we have the second row down here, actually, because we need to get rid of all of these guys. And when the rocket launch takes away the green circuits, then we suddenly have plenty of space. So, how does that incorporate into our plans? I don't think it matters at all. So we've got those boxes randomly in there, which we don't need to worry about. Okay, so Fulgora support. You are doing all this stuff already. You might as well also carry like 2,000 legendary iron plates from Fulgora and like 2,000 legendary copper plates from Fulgora. So that is all set. And that should get Novice better set up for future. Now you are just missing the legendary iron plates. And you should be producing some of those on your own over here, right? Yeah, this is still functioning. We can make it better because now we have plenty of these guys. So we can just spam those all the way through. So that'll give us slightly better returns from this system here, which isn't really our main priority, but it exists, and it provides a steady stream of legendary iron, so we might as well have it be better. And then this is our box with locally produced legendary iron plates, and they just get immediately picked up and used for stuff whenever they exist. And the legendary gear wheels are mostly done. The legendary steel is done. So, in theory, we should be getting legendary iron up to here every so often. And we've got a bunch of trees in the way, so I can't click on it. We have one legendary turret, which could be a whole lot worse. We've got more incoming as well. And these guys can't be produced in some weird machines, right? Yeah, that would be crazy. Okay, so that's all fine. Nothing to worry about there. How are all these Vulcanist support guys doing? Are they... They've got like a couple hundred legendary iron plates. Not even all of them have those. Yeah, so something went wrong with this production over here. Are these boxes overfilled? No. The boxes are in here are all fine. It's just I guess it's just that the throughput isn't very good for whatever reason. That's fine. It's not a problem. I mean, there's a reason we had this infinite long setup over here on the copper side. And we never just got around to building that over here on this side, which is fine. It's not really a priority anyways, because we have all this stuff coming from Aquilo now, too. Which I still don't like the way that this works. So let's copy paste you, get another row of those guys in, and then this belt goes down that way. So that should reduce this input at least, and keep the red circuits recycling at their own pace. And we're going to need a little bit of extra foundation for that, which is fine. And then let's also just get another one of these guys up here. And then we'll leave this recycling like this for now, because we do need to use this to get rid of all these green circuits. We can't have it temporarily broken. But the idea is that this will then swap back up to here, and I guess we can start building that as long as it doesn't disrupt the existing stuff. Alright, so now when we want to make the swap, once all this is constructed, we'll just be turning that belt to face a different direction. And then what is this? No, you just turn and go into there. Okay, so that should handle all the random excess legendary red circuits that we have. Alright, we get our legendary plastic out of it. And then that will be that. And then once this is all built in like 500 years, which should be getting there pretty soon now. Once this is all built, then we will have this, and then we won't have to worry about legendary green circuits overfilling either. We'll just have this running forever and never really accomplishing anything, but that's fine. So how's this going? We have one box fully saturated, but none of the others have anything in them, so that's probably just how the buffering lines up. Alright, so that's all fine. It's kind of weird, actually. Yeah, actually, this might be a problem, because it means that we're always getting new inputs from here. So we need to set up this so that it outputs evenly to both sides no matter what. So let's just do that. So we're going to be disrupting things temporarily, so let's cut off that supply as well while we get this done. So you need to split, and then you go over one like that, and then that is the main line which goes in. You go in that way, you go in that way. Oh, this has to go in that way. And then once all that is built, then we can get things connected back up. And fortunately, we have a nice buffer in here, so we won't be breaking things while that happens. And all these guys up here are still seem to be working fine. Yeah, that looks good. So these all get their foundations in. And Fulgora is apparently missing speed modules for these guys up here, but that's probably not an issue. Alright, so now that this is all built, we can redirect that output up to here, and then redirect this. Right, that was a fix that we had to make. Alright, so now that should be 100% functional. Except for those missing speed modules, which will show up eventually on their own. And then this system now evenly outputs to both sides and shouldn't be an issue anymore. So now we can connect that back up and it should be okay. So that is all good. And this is, it's so fast. It's back at Novice already and it's just chilling there. And we can't have this sit here forever because it's fusion powered, so eventually, in like 100 years, it'll run out of power cells. That's going to take a very long time, but it will theoretically happen. But I think getting you fixed up will also just be a job for the future. So we have this fully functional setup here. It doesn't seem to store... It doesn't really store asteroids very well. Like, it's... At least this section up there. This section down here seems to do a better job of it, honestly. But, like, this is already mostly empty. And it's like, it's only fueling a couple things. So... you might have another look at redesigning this to be more asteroid efficient, but I don't even know how much that matters at all. It should be fine. Alright, I think we're going to wrap up the stream there for today. So thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a real good time. We have the ability to start upgrading these 2 legendary turrets. And hopefully once that is in, the increased range will help us just deal with asteroids better. And we're trying to see if we can get out to the edge of the solar system with this. We might have to completely redesign the front, but hopefully not. And that will be a job for next time. So I will see you guys again on Monday. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5 Eastern time, so if you're interested in seeing what I'm doing, make sure to stop by then. I also do Dyson Sphere program on Tuesdays and Thursdays where we are learning how that works. I flew through the wrong part of space and died in seconds last time, so that's rough, but we're still figuring it out, and that's just a mistake that I have to know to pay attention to and not make. So, if you're interested in that, make sure to stop by on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Otherwise, I'll be back here on Monday, and that's about it. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you guys